This is the Echelon GT Plus, and at the time of this recording, this is my favorite Echelon bike, and in the next few minutes here, I'm going to give you a review of the Echelon GT Plus. At the time of this recording, it costs about $900, and it comes in 4 different colors, including blue and also purple, orange, and limited edition Susan G. Komen pink. I do have a link below this video in the description box if you want to check out the current pricing or promotions that may be going on, and also take a closer look at the color options available. At the time of this recording, it cost about $899, and it does not come with a tablet. However, it does come with a tablet holder, so you can bring your own tablet. And this is a good thing because you can run the Echelon app, or the Stride app, or the Peloton app, or the Netflix app, or do whatever you want on your tablet. Gazing at the appearance of the Echelon GT Plus, you'll notice that it looks very similar to the highly popular and successful Echelon EX15 that you can buy on Amazon for about $500. However, there are quite a few significant changes on the Echelon GT Plus that make it a superior machine. And in the next few minutes here, I'm going to cover those differences and give you a review of the Echelon GT Plus. For starters, the first and most obvious thing that makes the Echelon GT Plus unique is you can get this bike in multiple colors. Right here front and center, we have the blue variation of the GT Plus, and despite the plastic housing here being a navy color, this is not the actual blue color. The blue is applied to the flywheel, the color of the letters, the crankcase here, and the resistance knob. And off to the right here, I have the Echelon GT in the purple color, and you can see the purple flywheel, the purple crankcase down here, the lettering, and of course the purple resistance knob. Regardless of which Echelon GT Plus color you choose, this plastic material here that you see as a navy color, it will be the same across all of the models. And as you can see here in the background, I have a couple different Echelon models that we will be comparing the Echelon GT Plus to along the way. So let's dive right into the first significant improvement on the Echelon GT Plus, and that is the handlebars. There's actually 2 components of the handlebars that make them superior to some of these other bikes. The first part of the handlebars is these are an ergonomic hand grip position. So resting your hand here on this large, wide, flat surface is actually a lot more comfortable than these other bikes here. As comparison, on the Amazon version of the Echelon EX15, this is the handlebars you get. They work perfectly fine and they're good, but they're just not quite as ergonomic and great as the Echelon GT Plus. Additionally, compared to the standard Echelon GT, the handlebars that come on this bike look like this. So the handlebars that are on the Echelon GT are pretty good, however, they are not quite as ergonomic and comfortable as the GT Plus. The last bike I have over here is the Echelon EX7S, which is a $2,000 bike, and if we take a look at the handlebars here, you may be able to see that these are the exact same handlebars on the Echelon EX7S as over here on the Echelon GT Plus. But not only are the Echelon GT Plus handlebars more ergonomic and comfortable than the EX15 or the standard GT, if we take a look down here on the underside of the handlebars, we will see that there is an adjustment to move the handlebars forwards and backwards. So once you loosen up this knob down here, you can move the handlebars forwards and backwards to dial in your riding position and make this ride even more comfortable. As we can see here on the stem, there are 7 levels of adjustments with micro adjustments, so you don't have any hole to click into, and you can really fine tune the handlebars. As you may already know, on the Echelon EX15, the handlebars do not have the ability to move forwards and backwards. And over on the Echelon GT, this is the exact same situation. There is no way to move these handlebars forwards and backwards. On the $2,000 Echelon EX7S, you do get this ability to move the handlebars forwards and backwards. So essentially, on the Echelon GT Plus, you get a feature from the $2,000 EX7S applied over here onto this bike, making it a superior hand grip position as well as comfort. And as you may already know, not even the $2,495 Peloton Bike Plus has this ability to move the handlebars forwards and backwards. Okay, so that's one thing that's different about the Echelon GT Plus. Let me show you something else. The GT Plus also has a weight holder on the rear of the bike. So for those of you who want to do on-bike workouts as well as off-bike workouts, the weight holder is positioned right here on the back very conveniently. On the Echelon EX15 as well as the standard Echelon GT, there is no weight holder on the rear of the bike. The next major difference on the Echelon GT is the saddle. The seat on this bike is significantly wider than the rather narrow saddle that comes on the Echelon EX15, as well as the rather narrow saddle that comes on the Echelon GT. And while the saddle on the Echelon EX15 and the standard GT are sufficient, the saddle on the Echelon GT Plus is wider and more comfortable to ride on. So I know what a lot of people prefer to do on the EX15 is add a little gel cover on here to make it softer, but ultimately having a wider saddle on the bike makes it an even more comfortable ride. The Echelon GT also has dual water bottle holders right up here, located conveniently right by the handlebars that make it easy to grab a drink of water while you're riding. And the tablet holder up here on front rotates up and down a little bit so you can adjust the angle of the tablet as well as flip it all the way over the other way for off-bike workouts. And if we take a closer look up here, we can see there is actually a separate cell phone mount right here that you could mount a cell phone on here if you want. Or this entire thing expands quite a bit and you can fit an iPad or a tablet in here up to about 13 inches. Over here I have this iPad. It's a 13-inch iPad mounted on here, and it's about the biggest iPad you can fit in there. And as you can see here, this entire assembly will flip all the way over, and you can do it this way to do off-bike workouts as well. On top of that, there's even a little USB charger right here, so you can keep it plugged in and charging at all times. Taking a look at the pedals on the Echelon GT, we can see that there is a cage-style pedal on one side and a SPD clip-in on the other side. This means that the casual rider will be able to ride on the Echelon GT with no special shoes. However, if you want to up your experience to the next level, you can get SPD clip-in shoes and clip in directly to these pedals. Similar to the Echelon EX15 as well as the standard GT back there, the Echelon GT Plus has basically the exact same drivetrain. This is a magnetic resistance bike with a belt drive system, and the flywheel mass is 7 kilograms, which comes out to just over 15 pounds for the flywheel mass. So let's talk about the drivetrain feel on the Echelon GT Plus. So basically the Echelon EX15 and the GT Plus share the same exact drivetrain from all that I can tell. The flywheel mass is the same. They're both belt driven bikes. They're both magnetic resistance bikes. They both go from 0 to 32 on resistance. So in terms of maximum resistance on the Echelon GT Plus as well as the EX15 and all bikes that share this same platform, the maximum resistance just isn't quite as high as what you get on like the Stride bike or the Peloton Bike Plus or the Nordic Track S22i, but it does have a pretty good maximum resistance, and I think a lot of people, most people would be happy with the maximum resistance. If you are a particularly powerful and strong rider, you may find a little bit more to be desired in terms of maximum resistance on the Echelon GT Plus, but I do think that for most people seeking a fat-burning cardiovascular workout, you will be perfectly happy with the maximum resistance on the GT Plus. It's really a nice bike to ride, and it feels nice to ride, especially on those medium resistances. It's really a smooth and fun bike to ride. It has like a playful feel to it that, you know, it's less intimidating to get on like an Echelon GT Plus as compared to like a Peloton Bike Plus, for example. The Peloton Bike Plus is just like a very rigid, and it feels like a very serious machine, whereas, you know, you can hop on the GT Plus and it just has like a lighthearted, fun feel to it. A lot of times in the evening, I'll just hop on this thing for like a quick 5 or 10 minute ride with no shoes or socks on, and it just feels nice to ride. Especially on the low and medium resistances, I really like the feel of the Echelon GT Plus. So let's talk about the size of the Echelon GT here for a moment. It is an 88-pound bike according to the spec sheet, and it has a maximum user weight listed at 300 pounds. So in the past on the Echelon EX15, I know I've mentioned that, you know, I'm 6'5", and I about max out the height of the Echelon EX15. However, I did notice a little trick here on the GT Plus. So looking at the adjustability here on the saddle of the Echelon GT Plus, you can see that there are 16 levels of adjustment with also the maximum here. And as you can see, I'm actually past the maximum height. Additionally, there are holes that you need to click into, However, what I noticed is I could actually raise it up beyond the maximum saddle height, which I'm not gonna say I recommend this necessarily. However, I noticed I can do it, and with these knobs on the Echelon GT that are super grippy and nice, I can actually get enough grip on there to really tighten the saddle down and ride this thing not clicked into a hole past the maximum height. And with the saddle of the Echelon GT raised up just a little bit beyond the maximum height, I find that the Echelon GT actually fits me perfectly fine at 6'5". Initially, when I raised the saddle up like that, I was planning on drilling an extra hole in there to really secure it in, but I found that the saddle is not sliding down on me, even not clicked into a hole. So if you're under 6'5", the Echelon GT Plus should fit you perfectly fine, but even if you are a little bit taller like me, you can possibly raise the saddle up a little bit beyond the max. For raising and lowering the handlebars on the EX15 as well as the GT Plus or any of these bikes built on the same platform, they all have the same raising and lowering amounts here from 1 to 8 plus max with a hole to click into. And you get these same exact nice rubber soft touch grips here up on the front for moving the handlebars forwards and backwards as well as raising and lowering them. I really like the blue resistance knob on this Echelon GT Plus. It's a little bit different than what you get like the red resistance knob on a lot of other bikes. It takes about 12 or 13 turns to go from minimum resistance of 1 to maximum resistance of 32. It's really easy to rotate. It is a physical resistance adjustment, so you don't need to have this bike plugged into the wall for the resistance to work. It will work whether it's plugged in or not. And what I mean by that is there is no little motor in there adjusting the resistance for you as you rotate this. So there is no automatic adjusting resistance on the Echelon GT Plus. So hopping on the GT Plus, one of the first things I noticed about this bike is the saddle is just significantly more comfortable than the EX15 or the GT, and really just more comfortable than a lot of the other bikes I ride. I really like the pedals that come on this bike because it's super convenient. You can just hop on with no special shoes. And honestly, even in the evening, sometimes I'll get on this bike with no shoes at all. And then the ergonomic hand grips is like the next thing I really notice about this bike. And being tall, I really like that the handlebars adjust because, you know, my knee can hit the handlebar on this bike when it's all the way towards me. But since the handlebars are 4-way adjustable, I can just loosen up this knob and bump them up here just a little bit forward and make it a little better suited for a tall person like myself. And now my knees won't touch anymore. So for riding out of the saddle, it gives me a lot more confidence and not smashing my knee on the handlebars. So riding this bike, the drivetrain does make a small amount of noise, but it is pretty minimal. And I'm just pedaling along at resistance 2 right now. I'll start cranking on the resistance a little bit. On these bikes, as you've probably seen in my other reviews, you kind of need to get the resistance up to about 7 or 8 until it starts making a big difference. However, at resistance 9, this is like a nice feeling resistance, and I'll go ahead and start bumping it up. This is resistance 13, resistance 16, resistance 19, 23. Now it's starting to really come on like pretty heavy at this point on resistance 23 out of 32. Resistance 25 now, 29, and 32, max resistance. And as you can see, the maximum resistance is challenging. However, it's not like the strongest max resistance of any bike I've ever reviewed. After riding about 30 seconds here on maximum resistance out of the saddle, I can feel myself getting winded already. So the maximum resistance on this bike is pretty strong, and I think it will be sufficient for most people. Cranking the resistance back down to about 20. This is a nice feeling resistance for me, and I like the feel of this bike. It's a nice feeling bike. So this is kind of one minor thing I noticed about the Echelon GT Plus that I just really like. So on previous bikes I've reviewed, the weight holder back here is just not positioned properly. So like if you lift the whole bike up, the weights will actually dump out and spill if you go to move the bike. But up here, you can actually move this bike around without losing your water bottles or dropping the weights down on the frame. And really that is kind of a minor detail, but it kind of just shows the attention to detail when it comes to Echelon building these products. Like on the Peloton Bike Plus, for example, I made a video about 8 things I hate about the Peloton Bike Plus, and that one of them was the weights actually fell out of here onto the frame of the bike when I went to move it if I forgot to remove the weights. And also, since the tablet holder holds it in from the top and the bottom, you're obviously not going to drop your tablet when you move it. If you look at the angle of the weight holders on the Peloton Bike Plus, you can see that they're actually not angled that much. So as you rotate this up, I've definitely dropped the weights out of here several times moving the Peloton Bike Plus. Just having the weights angled back a little bit more makes it so they don't dump out when you rotate the bike up. So the first thing you do is plug it in, and then the Bluetooth will turn on. And up here I have the iPad hooked up here on the tablet holder. It's a 13-inch tablet, and here I have a secondary mount for my cell phone. So what you can do here is open up the Echelon app. It's free to download, and you don't have to sign up for the Echelon app to get your metrics. And if you want to do the Echelon classes here on your phone or your tablet, you can certainly do that. But you can get your metrics on this bike without signing up for the Echelon app. All you gotta do is go down here and tap on more, and then pull up freestyle ride. And you can see your metrics right here on the screen, your resistance number down here on a scale from 0 to 32. I'm rotating the resistance knob and it will go all the way up to a max resistance of 32. You also get your power output in watts as well as cadence, which is how fast the pedals are rotating. And you can also connect up a heart rate monitor and get your heart rate on this app. And having your metrics such as resistance and cadence and power output and your heart rate is super convenient for following along with instructor-led classes, whether it be on the Echelon app or the Stride app or the Peloton app. Because basically, regardless of which platform you choose, cadence is always going to be an important metric for following along the instructor-led classes, as well as knowing your resistance number and power output is awesome to know. Of course, there is no need to run two devices on the Echelon bike if you intend on doing the Echelon app. However, if you want to run like the Stride app or the Peloton app, you can get your metrics down here on one device and then run whatever platform or like YouTube or Peloton or whatever you want up here on your tablet. So the thing that I really like about the Echelon GT Plus is it's a really quality bike and it looks beautiful, and it doesn't come with a screen on it that locks you into any one particular platform. So you're not committed to any monthly recurring fees. Of course, you can sign up for the Peloton digital app for $12.99 a month, or you can do the Echelon app or the Stride app or iFit or whatever you want on this bike. You can do free YouTube classes, but the beauty of it is you don't have to pay any super expensive recurring monthly fees if you want a quality, good-looking bike. So on the Echelon GT Plus, I really like the improved ergonomic handlebars on this bike, as well as the ability to have that four-way adjustability and move them forwards and backwards and really dial in your riding position. And also, I know that a lot of people who buy indoor cycling bikes, one of the biggest complaints that they have is the saddle that comes on the bike. The seat is just too narrow and is just not comfortable. On the Echelon GT Plus, I really like that it has that bigger, wider, more comfortable saddle that I think a lot of people will find a lot more comfortable than the narrow saddles that come on many other bikes. And of course, also, it's really nice having the weight holder on the rear of the bike so you can do on-bike workouts as well as off-bike workouts. Also, I really like the tablet holder on the Echelon GT Plus because not only can you rotate it to get it to face the direction you want to when you're on the bike, whether you're short or tall, you can angle it to face directly at you. You can also rotate it over 180 degrees to do off-bike workouts when you want to do those. And I think the pedals that come on the Echelon GT Plus are perfect. They have the cage style on one side as well as the SPD clip-in on the other side. So, if you just want to go for a casual ride and hop on and not clip in, you don't have to have any special shoes to ride the Echelon GT Plus. But if you want to clip in, it does have those SPD clip-ins on the other side of the pedal, so you can clip in and get that more engaging, full indoor cycling experience. All in all, I think the Echelon GT Plus is a great indoor cycling bike, and like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, it's currently my favorite Echelon bike, and I do have a link below this video in the description box, so if you want to check out the current prices and promotions to see what kind of deals Echelon has going on, you can check that out. Also, if you are planning on buying the Echelon GT Plus and you would like to help support Tell Happy TV, you can purchase through the link below this video in the description box, and that would help support this channel at no additional cost to you, and I would greatly appreciate your support. So thanks for watching, guys. If you found any value in this video, please give me a thumbs up. Any questions or comments you have, please leave down below the video in the comment section. Click subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in my next video.